Connor sat on the edge of his bunk bed, the flickering light bulb in the corner of the room illuminating his furrowed brows. It was his first night at Obafemi Awolowo University, and the weight of expectations sat heavily on his shoulders. Connor's admission to study electrical engineering was a dream come true, but it also came with a familiar enemy, fear. Connor had always been a timid child. Growing up in the bustling streets of Lagos, his parents often encouraged him to speak up and stand tall, but he always felt overshadowed by his peers. His elder brother, Deji, was the family's golden boy, a medical doctor who excelled effortlessly. Connor, on the other hand, was plagued by self-doubt. As lectures began, Connor found himself shrinking in the massive lecture halls. Professors spoke rapidly, and his classmates asked questions with an air of confidence that made him feel small. He avoided the front rows, fearing he might be called upon to answer a question. Even during group discussions, he hesitated to contribute, convinced his thoughts weren't good enough. By mid-semester, Connor's grades reflected his internal struggles. He barely scraped by in his first test, and the whispers of doubt grew louder. "Maybe you're not cut out for this," they said. One evening, Connor stumbled upon a book in the university library titled Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. The title alone intrigued him, as it seemed to address the exact battle raging within him. He borrowed the book and devoured its pages that night. The central idea struck a chord: fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. Connor decided to confront his fears, one step at a time. The next day, he forced himself to sit in the second row during a mathematics lecture. His palms were sweaty, and his heart raced, but he stayed. When the lecturer asked a question and silence filled the room, Connor hesitated before timidly raising his hand. His answer was partially correct, but the lecturer's encouraging smile gave him a boost of confidence. From that day, Connor became intentional about his growth. He joined a study group, even though it terrified him to speak in front of others. Slowly, he began contributing ideas, and to his surprise, his group members valued his input. By his third year, Connor had transformed. His grades improved steadily, and he was now one of the most active participants in class. Professors began to notice him, and his classmates sought his advice. In his final year, Connor faced his biggest challenge yet, his final year project. He was tasked with designing a solar-powered irrigation system for rural farmers, a project that required both technical expertise and public presentation skills. The old Connor would have crumbled under the pressure, but this time, he faced it head-on. He spent months researching, designing, and rehearsing his presentation. On the day of his defense, Connor stood before a panel of professors and delivered his presentation with poise and confidence. His project was hailed as innovative, and he received a standing ovation. At the convocation ceremony, Connor's name echoed through the packed auditorium as he was announced as the best graduating student in electrical engineering. Tears welled up in his eyes as he walked to the stage, the same stage that once seemed like an insurmountable mountain. Connor's journey from a fearful boy to a fearless achiever inspired everyone around him. When asked how he overcame his fears, he simply said, "Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to define you. Take one step at a time, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve." Connor's story became a testament to the power of resilience and courage, proving that even the most timid souls can soar when they confront their fears.